With a WWE standing in the company revealed following controversy and more, this is Wrestling Rambles. My name is John, and you're watching the Wrestling Report. Before we move on, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Rambles with notifications on, and don't forget to like the video. Mentioning what is next for her after her departure from WWE, former backstage correspondent for the company, Kayla Braxton told Casual Conversations, "I'm working on a ton of stuff. I've been very busy since I left. I can't talk about too much stuff, but I'm currently in the works of hosting some new shows. I've been writing and pitching a show that I'm producing, which is right now my passion project. I think it's going to be great. I'm also writing a memoir right now that I started writing a long time ago and kind of put a pause on it, so I've been rewriting that. I'm definitely keeping busy and getting to work on things that I didn't have the time to do or wasn't allowed to do in my previous position. By the time this airs, it'll be about 2 months since I left WWE. Don't fear, you're about to see me again, not in wrestling, because there's other things besides wrestling." AEW is yet to announce the attendance figure for their All-In event, as Dave Meltzer spoke about this on Wrestling Observer Radio. This is like the weirdest thing. WWE announced 58K for SummerSlam. They were close to that for SummerSlam. I think the real number was 55.8 and this real number was 54.8. So they have almost the exact same crowd size. WWE announced it, no one calls it a failure, and they shouldn't. That crowd for SummerSlam was awesome. This All-In is the farthest thing from a failure, but they're afraid to announce the attendance because they think people will think the real number is a failure. It's friggin' crazy. After winning his qualifier match in the Intercontinental title tournament on Raw, Pete Dunne said this in a Raw exclusive: "I've been in this business long enough to know you're gonna win matches, you're gonna lose matches, it's part of the job. But for Sheamus, that scumbag, to turn around and still call me Butch, to have a laugh at something that nearly killed my career, that is all I've got, man. He knows that. All I've ever been and ever will be is a fighter. To be demoralized and reduced to that name, it shows what kind of person he really is. I don't deserve it, you all know that, but you know what I do deserve after all the setbacks and backstabs: a shot at the Intercontinental title. I'm not taking this opportunity lightly. When I win that tournament and I have my hand lifted in the air, you can all call me something I approve of: champion." Touching on a possible return in the works for AEW, Mike Johnson of PW Insider reported that AEW star Miro, aka former WWE star Rusev, is back in the United States. PWInsider.com can confirm. Miro was spotted over the weekend in Los Angeles. He had been in Bulgaria for some time. Miro last wrestled for AEW in December 2023. There is no word when he will return to the ring, but we can confirm he is now back in the United States. In an interesting revelation, Jesse Ventura mentioned how he is working on a deal with WWE, telling Chris Van Vliet on Insight, "My relationship with them now has much improved. We are on the verge right now. I can say this: contracts have been written, contracts have been agreed upon, and all it requires is 2 signatures, one for them and one for me. And I will be back with the Legends deal." Yeah, very much so. I think that they're very much more, since they merged with the Ultimate Fighting, UFC, and they're under that one roof now. They're very much more mainstream corporate that you can deal with better because they're more open. It isn't having to tie into the old days of wrestling, for lack of a better term, slavery. Because, you know, in the old days of wrestling, you truly were slaves. I don't know. I got a great compliment I heard the other day. Barry Bloom, my former agent, the one I introduced to Vince McMahon. I was the first wrestler that made Vince deal with an agent. And I heard Barry was on a podcast and said that all of these contracts these guys are getting today, they owe Jesse Ventura a thank you, because if it weren't for him, they wouldn't be getting them. Asked on X about making a WWE comeback for one last run, Rob Van Dam replied to a user writing, "Would the chance come with pay or just the opportunity to fulfill the dreams of 18-year-old me?" Recalling his prior intentions to retire from professional wrestling following his match against Goldberg at SummerSlam, Nic Nemeth said this on Busted Open Radio. "That Sunday and that Monday were supposed to be my last 2 days with the company. I was retiring. I was putting over 2 guys on the way out. I go to the boss and I am begging. I go, 'Boss, you could have a local do this. If I can't do this, you can't trust me to do this. Then you can't trust me to do anything. I don't want to work here.'" Giving his thoughts on the AEW debut of Ricochet at the company's All-In event in London over the weekend, Booker T noted on his Hall of Fame podcast, "I'm glad to see Ricochet have a soft landing. The kid can work, man. He's definitely an extraordinary talent, definitely a next level talent. I just feel like he fits a whole lot better in the AEW system, better than the WWE system. But he got a chance to do the WWE thing, and that's one thing a lot of guys wonder about that haven't gotten to do the WWE thing, the WrestleMania weekend and all that stuff. He's gotten the chance to experience that kind of stuff several times. So for him to actually move to the next level, it's not as hard at all, because now for him, it's all about getting paid, going out and having some good matches, and hopefully a stellar career at the end of the day. I think for Ricochet to be able to have some of the outrageous matches that he possibly can have, that means going out there and just letting it hang out. That means you ask the boss, "What do you want me to do tonight?" And the boss says, "Whatever you guys want to do." That's what he's got now. So it's going to be an unlimited amount of stuff you can see from Ricochet now that you couldn't see before. Following his departure from AEW, the son of Arn Anderson, Brock Anderson, said this about his time with the promotion, telling Under the Ring, "When I was at AEW, it was, hindsight is 2020. You can look back and see that things were going to be the way they were, but I didn't know. It was a new company. I didn't know what was going to happen, but I don't think, looking back now, I wasn't ready for that, because for young guys, there is no setup to really learn and grasp the business. It's just basically just TV." Prior to blindsiding Drew McIntyre on Raw ahead of their strap match at the Bash in Berlin, CM Punk went live on social media showing himself under the ring.
It's funny, this 50-cent piece of trash on my wrist causes so much emotional hurt to Punk. And it's ironic that the weapon he chose to fix to my wrist on Saturday is going to cause him so much physical hurt. Because I'm going to lash him again.
Revealing that he was backstage for WWE events that were in Canada, TNA star Josh Alexander told the Johnny I Pro show, "I brought my son to SmackDown and to Money in the Bank. Now with the working relationship between TNA and WWE, I'm like, oh, I can go. If everybody else is going, you know what I mean? I can take my son to a show because he's obsessed with wrestling, so I take him and Trinity, Naomi, we text her like we're here, have a good match." She's like, "Oh, come to the back." Okay. So this is a funny story. I'll share this one with you. We get grabbed by security from like whatever. We're in one of the 4 seats because we got free tickets from a friend of mine, and we're walking to the back with security and pull back the curtain, and Jet, I bought him the World Heavyweight Championship replica, and he's like, "Daddy, hold this. And he puts it in my hand, and I'm like, "No, take this back. I'm not walking the back holding this pretend belt, dude." And he's not taking it, so I have to wrap it around him. I'm not walking in the back holding this replica title. But I walk to the back, I'm standing right by Gorilla and waiting for Trinity to come back. She had a post-show match, like a dark for the house, and I'm waiting for her to come back so we can say what's up to her, and Cody Rhodes runs up to me right away. Gives me a big hug. He's like, Josh, it was like he saw me yesterday and I've seen him twice at Alpha One Wrestling. I've worked with him twice. Obviously, we all are familiar with each other through social media and all this other stuff, but we haven't really spoken. He's like, you want to come tomorrow? I'm like, I don't know, man. We had no intention. And I look down at my son, Jet, and Jet looks at me. He goes, we're going to Money in the Bank. He's like, text me if you want tickets. And he walks away, and I'm like, I only had his number from like 2016, and I got back to the hotel. I text him that offer good, and he was just like, yeah, absolutely. Same number from 2016. He got us 4th row tickets to Money in the Bank, and my son had the time of his life because of the generosity of Cody Rhodes. Once again, the father of Jey Uso and WWE Hall of Famer Rikishi would bring up his concerns regarding the booking of his son in WWE, saying on his Off the Top podcast, it comes from the head of the corporate side as far as, I posted out on my social media about this matter with, I like to call my son the Yeet Man, and I mentioned this is no favoritism to him or just anyone, but as wrestlers. As a wrestler that's been there, put in work, and you can see the outpouring of love and support from the fans, whether it be Jey Uso or somebody else, that was my question. The same thing that you're asking, because I want to know, what is it that this kid has to do? We can see it's probably the hottest intro when this kid is coming out. The fans, you talk about the fan engagement. You see it, we all see it. But yet, when it comes time to give this kid his flowers and let's do business, why wasn't my son handled with the Money in the Bank? Why couldn't he? I mean, where's the guy that won the Money in the Bank? What is he doing now? What business sense does that make for a company to let the most exciting guy, a guy that is not a liability, a guy that shows up and shows out, a guy that does his job? What is it? Does it hurt the company to even give this kid a shot? So I thought once the Money in the Bank didn't go through, I said, well, let's see what they do now. Maybe they would give him a shot, set him up for, I don't know, some type of belt, maybe an Intercontinental Champion belt, maybe that, or if you ask me, I think he deserves a shot at the World Championship belt. And, when that didn't happen either, it's like, okay, I'm at this point where I just want to call my son and say, hey, go ahead and just take a break, because obviously them writers don't know where to put you or where they can write something that's right for the character of Jey Uso, the Yeet Man. And I mentioned this, definitely WWE is making money off the Yeet Man. The Yeet Man is making money himself, but the only difference is the Yeet Man is working for his money. WWE, they're making, you see it every week, there's a new merchandise of Yeet coming out, this Yeet hoodie, this Yeet foam hand, this thing, this, that, and the Yeet Man is doing personal appearances. I mean, that's not because he has to, but it's because that's the demand of the fans. They want all the characters that they pick the Yeet Man. And so what I'm saying is, make no mistake about it, I am not favoring my son to be able to speak on this. What I'm speaking about is what's happening, because this can be any other wrestler. It can be a female wrestler, a guy wrestler, whatever the case. But what is the case? What are y'all not giving? Pulling the, lighting this kid up and just, letting him do his thing. But I appreciate everybody, for when I put out my post, everybody came through, because obviously y'all feel the same way I do. And let's just hope WWE gets it together and, does the right thing. At the end of the day, these are bodies. This is my flesh and blood, that's pounding his body day in, day out. When I see him, he has a family, comes home, and just, aching, and you know what I mean, his body's hurting, but he'll never sell it. He'll never sell it because he's not trained that way. He's not trained to quit. He's trained responsibility. You sign that dotted line, and that dotted line, I'm not talking about the contract, I'm talking about the dotted line for you and yours. That's bigger than what the purpose is for a contract with WWE. We already know the kid is so good. WWE ain't the only spot. He can probably go to AEW if he wanted to write his own ticket. Maybe more than what WWE is making on him. Asked about facing Ricochet in AEW, Will Ospreay said this at the post-AEW All-In media scrum. I mean, look, so do I, but man's gotta work for it, you know what I mean? He's got a long list of people that he's gonna have to beat before he can come after the AEW International Champion. Honestly, it's been 8 years since the Best of Super Juniors match, and we've both gone in different directions, but like now he's under this microscope, and maybe I just called him out all those times to see if he's got any bollocks, and he's shown up, right? So I'd like to see what he can do here in AEW, and I'm excited and really happy for him. At that same media scrum, TBS champion Mercedes Moné was asked how she handled going through a divorce recently, as she said, "This is for anybody who's dealing with anything. Just follow your heart and know that you're guided. I went through a hard time, but I knew that I had to because I'm here, I've fallen down, I got back up, and I became a double champion. Whatever you want in your life, you got to go out there and take it, and don't be afraid. I had to take a chance. I had to follow my heart, and I had to listen to my soul. I can't be afraid of those things, and I feel like people can't be afraid to listen to your heart and soul. Listening to that, I made my way here, and I'm doing great. So just keep on following your heart, and it will guide you, and you can be a double champion like me and get many girls and many guys whatever you want." Going over the contract status of former AEW World Champion Swerve Strickland, Ringside News wrote that Sean Ross Sapp noted on Fightful Select that Swerve originally signed with AEW in March of 2022 on a 3-year deal, which was set to run until March of 2025. However, his impressive performances, particularly during his title reign, led to early negotiations for an extended contract. Swerve signed the new deal live on air with Tony Khan present, signaling AEW's commitment to securing him for the long term. This new multi-year contract will keep Swerve with AEW until at least 2028, though the exact length remains undisclosed. The deal is considered one of the most significant in the company's history. We're told the contract is a multi-year contract that will keep him with the company until at least 2028, though we aren't sure of the exact length of the deal. It was confirmed to Fightful that this is considered one of the biggest deals in the company's history. Mentioning if she would make her way back to WWE, former UFC champion Ronda Rousey said this on a stream: "Am I gonna come back to WWE? Definitely not full-time like before, but it'd be fun to team up with Shayna Baszler again. I even have our makeup speech written, but who knows? I heard things are a lot better with Triple H. It's just I got a baby to have." Also, Ronda would say this regarding her prior feud with Liv Morgan in the company: "I could come back some other time and no, listen guys, I'm not wrestling anymore. Let's be honest. I love Liv Morgan. She's like my freaking favorite. You guys read my book. There's a lot of talking about how amazing she is in there and how they did us dirty during our run, but you know, that's neither here nor there." Recapping the recent controversy that has surrounded Logan Paul, Ringside News wrote that a video from 4 years ago resurfaced showing Logan Paul's dog Broly jumping off his boat. The footage sparked controversy, with some speculating that someone might have pushed the dog, as a hand was seen in the frame just before the husky jumped, raising concerns about the dog's safety near the boat's rotor. The video's ambiguity fueled the speculation. Logan Paul quickly took to Twitter to address these claims, firmly denying that he would ever push Broly off the boat. He referenced an old YouTube comment where he had previously explained the incident, clarifying that the hand seen in the video was actually behind the dog, petting him, and that they tried to grab Broly after he jumped. In the comments, Logan Paul emphasized that they would never push Broly off the boat. He made it clear that the dog jumped on his own and the hand visible in the video was merely petting him. Paul added that they attempted to catch Broly after the jump, but the dog's body language clearly indicated that the jump was self-initiated. "We would never, ever push Broly off the boat. He jumped and a hand was behind him, petting him, and when he jumped, we attempted to grab him, but for a fact, we did not push him. Watch his body language, and you can very evidently see a self-induced independent jump from the little mutt. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk." To further clarify, Paul shared slow motion video showing that the hand was not in contact with Broly before the jump and that the hand reached out to grab him afterward. He also had a scathing message for those who continue to make such claims. 4 years later and still go F yourselves, Logan Paul tweeted out. During his Backstage Report podcast, Logan Paul was asked whether Logan Paul is getting any heat over that dog video. He echoed Paul's own response as he stated, "Nope," he explained that it was also 4 years ago. This incident isn't even the first time Logan Paul has faced trouble in recent memory. His comment about Algerian boxer Eman Khalif being a man also garnered a lot of controversy. WWE had to distance themselves from that comment as they didn't support it. And this was your pro wrestling news update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see y'all later.